What's up, everybody? Episode 13 here. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, good holiday season. We're coming into the new year here in a few days, and I'm exhausted. I've had a really hectic few days. Having a family and having little kids is never a dull moment, and so I'm just gonna switch gears and do something a little different. Instead of hacking away or doing something that I really need to like focus into. Sometimes I like having things I can switch gears into when I'm not really all there to focus all my energy on things that need to be focused. Right now with the car, I really need to be taking time and doing a lot of measurements and getting this exactly where I want it. And frankly, I just don't have it in me. I could also cut out some more metal, but you guys don't want a video on cutting metal. We've already had videos on cutting metal. I'll probably touch base on once it's done anyways, but right now we're gonna get into the rear end. I'm gonna do a video a little different today. I got some music playing in the background, and I'm just gonna do some live action, me working on it and talking about it and kind of giving you a breakdown of what we got going on with this Ford 88. So this is a Ford 88, okay? It's a rear end that Ford Motor Company made for so many years, all the way from the mid-early 80s and into the, maybe 2014? I think 2014-ish was basically still a Ford 88 ring gear. The Cobra independent rear suspensions was Ford 88 ring gear. But this style axle, this particular style axle, was made from somewhere in the, I believe, mid to early 80s into the early 2000s, maybe 2002, 2001, somewhere in there. They were Mustangs, Ford Explorers, I believe even some Ford LTDs in the 80s and early 90s, Ford Rangers, most of the vehicles like that. There's a ton of information online that you can really dig your teeth into. I'm just going to give you enough information to get your feet wet. This particular unit is probably one of the best ones you can get. It's a Ford Explorer unit. The late 90s, early 2000s Ford Explorers had 3 1/4 inch tubes, thick wall. They had 31 spline axles inside of them. The rear gears had a whole variety of rear gears. They had disc brakes as an option. This particular one is like one of the best ones. The only thing I could have gotten better was like a 410 gear instead of the 373. But I'm not using any of that anyway, so it didn't matter to me. I really just wanted this particular model for the housing and the tubes, okay? So this one, 99 Ford Explorer Mountaineer, or I guess it would have been a Mercury Mountaineer, which is the same as the Ford Explorer, but it came out of the 5-liter version, so it has the limited slip. And one of the ways you can tell is these tags. See if I can get the camera to focus. Right here, there's a 3L373. So that means that it's a 373, and the L stands for locker. So it's got like a little limited slip deal inside there. This 88 here means that it's a Ford 8.8. And this 9D14 means it was April. So D is the 4th month, April. 14 is the day. And then 9 is 1999. So it was April 14th, 1999 is when it was produced. And then this information up here, I believe, is the factory that it was made out of. But really what you're just looking for is that 373, or sometimes it'll just say 410. If it doesn't have the L, then it's just a regular open diff style. And then 8.8. So, good tubes, good rear end. That's all we need. I'm going to go ahead and take it apart. I got the pucks right here. These pucks are so when I cut this thing apart and I can put the big Ford 9-inch ends on it, I can weld it all together nice and straight. I need hub to hub to be about 41 inches. Right now it's, what is it? I don't remember. It is like 58 inches, I believe. So I got to cut almost 7 inches out of each tube is what it'll end up being about. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing taken apart. First step to getting the rear end taken apart is going ahead and taking these bolts out. These particular bolts are 13 millimeter. So basically I take out all of them except the top one, sometimes the top two, depending on how the cover's made. but this one I'll take them all out except this one. This one I'll just loosen so that I can get the cover open and let it drain in. And we have to get to the C-clips on the inside. So I got to take the brakes off and then get this thing draining and get to the C-clips on the inside. The C-clips are how these axles are actually held in. So let's get to it. All right, so for the next portion, we're gonna go ahead and get these rear brake calipers off. And some of this may be sped up because there's the parking brake assembly inside here. So we got a parking brake assembly inside these. So I gotta get these calipers off, which should just be these 2 bolts, the parking brake assembly that's in here, and then the rotor and everything should come off. So we'll go from there. Well, it looks like somebody did the classic parking brake delete. At some point, they never put any of the parking brake stuff back in there. So realistically, all we got to do is get to the C-clips and these axles should come right out. Sometimes it be like that. So right here is the differential pin. So inside here, there's a diff pin. This is the diff pin here, and then this is the pin bolt that holds that in. Usually you take that out and it will hammer out. And then once it's hammered out, I should be able to get these gears and then this thing off. This thing here is like your limited slip spring. And then there's clutch packs here. These spider gears here are splined into these clutch packs, and then this spring here applies the force there, and it basically forces it to drag. And there's special fluid in there that usually has some additives in it to keep this locked up a little bit better when you're going forward. But once these clutches wear out, usually they don't work too good. So we're gonna go ahead and take that pin out and try and get the rest of it apart.
Have I become a little too shy for love? I've been hurt before. All's fair in love and war. So I snuggle up close to the shell I'm living in. And if I let you in, another round begins. No
floating here, a feather in the air. Oh, but when the wind blows, will I tumble or sail away? Or would you have me stay? And what if I escape? I know
I'm spinning in a vicious cycle. I'm scared of doing something I'll regret. Maybe this is right, but I'm still staring at your silhouette. But what if you're everything I need? A fire in my heart, the air I breathe. What if I'm incomplete without you by my side? What if I go against my heart instead of confessing from the start? What if I miss out on the life meant for us? I need you by my side, by your side. I'm not afraid. We found something that'll never fade. We can be ourselves and figure out the rest along the way. What if you're everything I need? A fire in my heart, the air I breathe. What if I'm incomplete without you by my side? What if I go against my heart instead of confessing from the start? What if I miss out on the life meant for us? I need you by my side. I need you by my side. I need you by my side.
All right, so as you can see, we got it out. A couple things I want to point on, some different things that I did that you may have noticed. Again, I'm probably gonna speed up that portion, but I just wanna talk through it first. So when I was getting the diff pin out, you may have noticed I had put a little ratcheting wrench on there. The little ratcheting wrench, I couldn't get enough leverage on it by hand. I tried bopping with a hammer. Obviously that was dumb. Broke a couple teeth in it. Don't do that. Why I didn't use my regular wrench? I don't know where my little 8mm wrench is. Gonna be honest with you. So that was that. And realistically, it was probably dumb to start with because I should have used a 6-point socket. Those things will round out if you try and put a 12-point socket on them or a 12-point open head or a closed head wrench like I was doing. So I got lucky that I realized what I was doing before I stripped it out. So always use a 6-point socket on it. Something like that. I don't know if the camera's focusing, but 6-point socket is a must on those pins, those bolt pins. I had to remove the cap to get this head to fit. So I took the cap off so that I could get this head to fit. Then I put a pry bar over here in the lugs like this so that it would lock up against my bench. Or you could just hold it, depending on, you know, if you didn't have like a bench or the ground to lean on, you could just hold the breaker bar. So, big ratchet, hold one side, break it loose. I didn't have to hold both sides because this is a LSD. If it was an open diff, you'd have to hold both sides or it would just want to still spin. All right, so I broke that loose. I then switched to my shorty 1/4 inch. Got it out the rest of the way, slid it out, rolled the differential down. The pin slid down without a problem. Then once the pin was out, I could now push the axles in the rest of the way. So you just come out here and you just take the axle and you push it in. I usually use the back end of a mallet like this and I just knock it in. Once they're pushed in, the C-clips are available to grab. You just use a magnet, go in there, grab the C-clips out. Now, at this point, I don't need anything that's in here, differential. I don't need the pinion gear, ring gear, none of this stuff. I don't need any of these pins, any of these bolts. I don't need these axles. So all that stuff's gonna be scrapped. The cover, scrap. I'll probably get a different cover with braces. The brakes, scrap. The brackets, the backing plates, all this stuff will be scrapped. Really, it's just the housing and the tubes is all I'm going to be using. So what I'll be going to is a strange spool, probably a 35 spline, a strange spool setup. I just want something that can go in and I don't ever have to mess with it. For the like 900 wheel horsepower that this thing will make at the most, maybe 1,000 tops, a 35 spline at 2,800 pounds should be zero issue with a spool. So I hope you guys enjoyed the quick little teardown at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off for the night. I'll probably make another video of me breaking this down the rest of the way, or talking about breaking it down the rest of the way. I may take it out to get sandblasted, or I may just clean it up myself. I haven't totally decided yet. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. You guys have a good night.